How are we doing, Dolphins fans? Ben Morgan, Fins Up Network. Are you a little excited for this one? I am. I'm just going to say it's only Wednesday, and I am jacked for this game. What an opportunity. We know the narratives. We know going into this game that Dolphins fans, hey, guess what? Your team can't beat a team with a winning record. You don't play anyone good. This is the chance. This is the opportunity. A couple of 6-2 teams. Obviously, we got the Chiefs going to Germany. This is the opportunity. We're playing for the number one overall seed in the AFC this week. So if this doesn't scream big game, I don't know what does. I am looking forward to it. I think there's a member of the Dolphins. I think he's looking forward to it, Mr. Tyreek Hill. You know he's going to want to show up. Andy Reid, Pat Mahomes, and not really show up, but he's going to want to have to show out in this game. He's even said, you know what? I wish this game was in Kansas City. I wish I could do it back in Arrowhead. But tell you what, as a Dolphins fan, Arrowhead's a tricky place to play. I'm kind of glad this one's overseas, and then you come back, you get the bye week. But we're going to be unpacking this entire one. This is the first of 2 preview videos of the week. We'll be talking latest news, injury updates. We got some key matchups we're going to key in on. But before I jump into anything, I want to hear from you because the final prediction preview video, I want to tackle some viewer questions. So anything you've got, go ahead, throw my way. Drop it in the comments. As always, I'll try to get to as many as possible. Let's start with some of that team news. Like I said, we got a pair of 6-2 teams looking to take the top seed in the AFC. And we got some good injury news this week. Finally, it's been a little while. Teron Armstead's 21-day window to return from IR has officially opened. That means he is now going to be eligible to return to the active roster. He did practice on Wednesday, albeit in a limited capacity. So obviously no guarantee that he plays, but hey, he made the trip. They opened up his window. He's practicing on a limited basis. At the end of the day, that is very good news. Kendall Lamb, he's been doing fine. Of the people you could have back, you could say, who do you want back? Teron Armstead, Connor Williams. I'd kind of vote for Connor Williams with how good Kendall Lamb is playing. But at the end of the day, when Armstead is healthy, when he's ready to go, we're going to want him out there. When he's been healthy, yeah, it always comes with that asterisk. He's one of the best left tackles in the league. We paid him all that money for a reason. You hope he's ready to play and everything, but at the end of the day, you can either sit him this week and then you get that bye week as well for extra rest, or if he does play, it's not like you're going to have to come right back the next week and play either. You're still going to have that bye regardless. Any single way whatsoever, his window is open. We'll see how the practice report comes back from Germany throughout the week, but good news from the injury front. Let's turn it to the other side of that, though, for a second, because one player did remain in Miami, and that's Brandon Jones. As you know, remains in concussion protocol. He took that hit late in the game last week against the Patriots. Didn't rule out the possibility of him joining the team later, but as of right now, he did not make the trip, showing concussion, still being in the protocol. Obviously, that's a pretty long flight. That's a lengthy flight. You don't necessarily want to put him on that. And they did keep the window open for him potentially rejoining the team. However, if you look at how the Dolphins have handled players in the concussion protocol so far this season, signs kind of point to him probably not being ready for this one. But on the positive side, Javon Holland did clear concussion protocol, so we can expect him back on Sunday. But we'll keep an eye on Brandon Jones as well. And then the offensive line, wrapping things up on the injury news here. We've just been getting beat up. Like I said, last week at one point, we were playing one guy on the offensive line, and that was a day one starter, and that was Austin Jackson. And part of that is because Robert Hunt got hurt against the New England Patriots. He was a DNP on Wednesday. Mike McDaniel said he is day-to-day. Obviously, if he can't go, you're looking at Lester Cotton and Robert Jones being the top options to replace him at right guard on Sunday if he can't go. But we'll definitely keep an eye on him the rest of the week because speculating is based on the injury, based on things we've heard so far. I have a hunch he's probably going to get some work leading up to Sunday, but we'll keep an eye on that as well. Let's bust into the top matchups, some keys to victory here, and I'm changing it up a little bit this week. I'm going to focus in on one in particular in this, and then I've got a question that I'm going to get to as well. When you're playing the Kansas City Chiefs, even when they had Tyreek Hill, containing Travis Kelce was the key. And even more so now when they don't have these luxury of wide receivers, all the speed on the outside, a playmaker like Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce is who this offense runs through. He leads all NFL tight ends in receptions and yards, and he's second in touchdowns. Obviously, we're talking about one of the best to ever do it. And guess what? We, Miami Dolphins, struggle covering tight ends. The most recent example of that was that Sunday night game against the Eagles. We allowed Dallas Goedert to catch all 5 of his targets, 77 yards, and a touchdown. And if you watch that game, it felt like every single one of those completions was kind of at a clutch point in the game. We'll call it that. Now, the plan in the past for covering tight ends has basically been some zone coverage, obviously, with Fangio kind of being his calling card. But if you get those one-on-one situations, it's been a linebacker, and we've seen a guy like Jerome Baker kind of get that assignment. So we'll probably likely see him doing that at least a little bit yet this week. But guess who we got back last week? You know it. Number 5, Jalen Ramsey. Already has an interception. We might see some packages where he gets the opportunity to man up on Travis Kelce, especially in certain situations as well. But I say that especially knowing that Xavier Howard and Javon Holland are likely going to be back on Sunday. So what does that do? That gives you more able bodies, quality bodies, Pro Bowl level bodies that can go out there and cover those wide receivers. So then you kind of free up Jalen Ramsey to be that wild card when it comes to really focusing in on Travis Kelce. Regardless, Kelce, I'm not breaking news here, has to be a focal point on Miami Dolphins defense for Vic Fangio. Outside of Travis Kelce, you've got Rashee Rice, Justin Watson, and Marquez Valdez-Scantling as their leading wide receivers. Those guys scare no NFL secondary. So obviously you need to account for them. You're not going to let them all run free, but the offense runs through the Mahomes and Travis Kelce connection. I talked about a question that was brought up, so I'm going to bring that up here as well. And it was, will the Miami Dolphins reward Tua with a contract extension this offseason? Like I said, I like to go into some matchups, keys to victory and everything, but this one, I don't want to say it's simple for me, but it's so obvious to me that I'm going to leave it at containing Kelce. We'll talk more about the game, obviously, in the final preview video, but I wanted to bring this one up since it was sent to me following that game against the New England Patriots. Now, I looked into it a little bit more, and Tua, the contract situation, all that stuff is going to be reevaluated at some point this offseason. The team is comfortable with his performance level. They're more than happy with that. It's not performance-based whatsoever. Performance is not an issue. They are happy with the quality of play that he gives this team. The number one thing surrounding Tua and a future contract, it's the health. So first, foremost, staying healthy the rest of this season is the biggest factor regarding any contract talks that'll happen this offseason. And part of the question that was posed to me here was it was about potentially giving a hometown discount to the team that drafted you and being in Miami and really trying to build something like Super Bowl wise and really going out there and try to stamp your legacy here in Miami. I personally think that when you look at the quarterback position, you're going to get, there's a certain benchmark that quarterbacks get in this league that it's almost non-negotiable. You're going to get solidified starter quarterback money. That's just what they receive. So I don't necessarily think you're going to get much of a discount per se. But the nice thing is he hasn't had the longevity of this type of success to warrant resetting the market, like what we've seen with Burrow and Herbert and Patrick Mahomes. So I don't think we're going to be in that category. So relatively speaking, with the production that he's had and what we project him to have, this contract that he potentially may sign in the offseason, if it's awarded to him, could kind of look like a discount just because it might not be in that resetting of the market category like those guys that I had talked about. So yes, an extension will be discussed this offseason, but health is and will be the number one driver of any of those conversations. Like I said, I will be back with a final preview and prediction video as well that usually drops on Saturday morning. Go ahead, get the questions you'd like me to address on that video in the comments here. I'll get to as many as possible. But until that one, Dolphins fans, fins up.